Hello everyone, today we are going to look at some of the bloopers of Lost in Space. So, I noticed something in this episode. It's called the Stock and Stowaway, but made the robot actually walked in this episode. You can have to see. That's Bob May inside the suit. See, that's where Bob May, because he had been pretty bloody in this costume. So what they did they actually made him walking in this episode because they noticed there was something wrong because Bob May was getting hurt in that costume. Yeah, that was pretty bad, but they actually made him walking in this episode. Okay, this episode is called The Derelict, and you can actually see a tennis shoe because the stunt actors were pushing these creatures, and this is what happened because Dr. Smith shoot the monsters and it got them mad. And what happened is Dr. Smith used the laser rifle to shoot the monsters, and we never see these guys again, but this is not a blooper, and this is The Derelict. This episode is called Inside the Sky. The Island of the Sky. And you can have to see Robot. He's putting that chest piece right here. And how can he look? Because Bob May is supposed to be looking up here. But he was looking down here to the lower vent. Right down there. And he's putting that chest piece right to there and using those claws. Because what they used for the robot, because they had a different hand for the robot's claws. Because they had a different remove to the robot's claws to pick up stuff. And that was pretty funny for this episode. This episode is called There Were Giants in the Earth. I'm sorry guys, this is a little bit dark for the robot because it's nighttime. Well, the robot's lights vertically go off. You have to see when robot turns off the force field, look. And its lights go very back on again. They already go back on again because you have to see. The prop guy had noticed the robot's lights were off. That's it. And that was pretty funny how the lights actually turned off. This episode is called The Hungry Sea, and the robot's legs completely collapsed because Don had shoot the robot to his heart box. See that little mark right there? That because robot got shoot by the laser gun, and because they noticed because the Robinsons needed to go to another warm side to the planet. And I'm very sorry guys, I did not show you the soil sampler, but that is a pretty funny scene because they never show that again. This episode is called Welcome Stranger, and you can see very closely. You see that? Robot's power pack is missing because I think so they had screwed that up. Because what happened is Robot because Robot can't work without his power pack. And that was pretty a shame from them because that was pretty stupid. Okay guys, this episode is called Invaders from the Fifth Dimension. Well, you can actually see this big rock because the cameraman did not do that focus that well. He did not get a most close up more because you see, look at this. You'll see a power cable into his back trek section, and to his legs too. Now watch. Impossible. Yeah, they had screwed that up. That was pretty nuts. But that was pretty funny though. That was pretty funny. Okay, this episode is called One of Our Dogs is Missing. Because I noticed because the dog is missing, of course. Because the dog supposed to be right there. But Papa thinks the dog got eaten by the plants. The hungry plants. I know that episode. And sorry guys. And this is when Guy Williams was trying to shoot the monster with a laser pistol. laser rifle, and he used that to shoot the monster. But I feel bad for Guy Williams because he never takes a break. Alright, this episode is called The Hungry Plants, and you can actually see some of the robot's ribs right there. The clear glass, they had broken off. Because what happened is, the prop guys did not notice the robot's little thing right there. You see what I'm pointing into? That's the robot's power sampler. Because the robot's power of his Trek section did not work that good. I feel bad for Bob May. He was softer in that costume. This episode is called The Keeper Part 1. Okay, it's a 2-part episode because this one, he says, this is my second time I forgot to turn it off. But he actually holding the staff with the flowers onto it. And I'll show you more. This episode is called The Keeper Part 2. And this spider is the same one from Season 2. And because this creature was the same animal, kind of like a giant spider, well, he is kind of different, but it's pretty funny because they had to use the same creature. This episode is called War of the Robots. This episode is a really good one because this is the robot's soil sampler again, but they never show that again after this episode. Okay, I start this episode again. Well, you can actually see the robot's mouth. It's actually crooked because there are actually fish tubes. And I'm going to show you another scene of robot because he has little tears because he's getting rough. The costume is getting rough a little. Okay, this scene, the robot's mouth is back to normal, but that was pretty funny how they used this episode again for using the 2 robots again. Okay, this episode is called The Space Chandler, but it's not like Chandler, but whatever. Okay, here we go. You're gonna have to see Dr. Smith and Will are walking to this rock right over here. I'm gonna pause it very quickly. There. You're gonna have to see Will Robinson is pretty big, and Dr. Smith is pretty wide, because they're stunt actors be playing as Will Robinson and Dr. Smith. That was pretty nuts how they had to use that. Sorry guys, I'm coughing too much because I have a cold. This episode is called All That Glitters. And because you can see a power cable behind Dr. Smith. Because that is behind Dr. Smith. His pet leg coming right to the neck of his neck. That was pretty funny though. Okay, this episode is called The Lost Queen. And what happens in this episode, the robot's bubble pops off. You see, look, watch. See that? The robot's bubble had come loose. Because what happened is the robot smacked the guard and he got hit. And that's what happened. This episode is called A Galaxy of Space. Because this one, Dr. Smith turns to an old man. Because Dr. Smith turns to an old man. Because he noticed, okay, this is almost over, but I'm on 28. We're almost at 29. And Dr. Smith was jumping to make him laugh. Because he noticed he wants to make himself laugh. Yeah, that was pretty funny. This episode is called Follow the Leader, but you will actually see John Robinson is staying onto the pillar. You see, look. There he is. Because he was already there. That was pretty funny, though, how he was there. And that is part of the Lost in Space series. Alright, guys, that's the end for Lost in Space Season 1. That was pretty fun, though, but oh my gosh, I forgot to do the robots Trek section. Oh, man. Alright, guys, see you later.